が好きよ好きよ好きよ好きよ好きよ一番好きよ
Episode 6, Ran arrives, Lum's most dangerous rival. Shack Scene 1. A thunderous explosion shook every window in Tomobiki High School. A dense cloud of dust swallowed the courtyard as the last echoes of thunder rolled across the sky. Sakura, Cherry, and Ataru rushed outside. As the dust slowly settled, all three froze in place. Resting in the middle of the courtyard was a gigantic pink flying saucer. Its smooth, rounded hull gleamed in the sunlight, decorated with elegant ornaments that made it look less like a spacecraft and more like an enormous strawberry cake. The hatch slowly opened. Out of the drifting smoke stepped a young woman with long pink hair, a cute upturned nose, and a delicate face sprinkled with tiny freckles. She wore a shiny pink one-piece outfit that clung to her figure like polished latex, leaving her arms and long legs uncovered. Tilting her head ever so slightly, she offered everyone an almost impossibly sweet smile. Hello, my name is Ran. I think I'm just a little lost. I'm looking for my boyfriend. Have any of you seen him? She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small handheld device. A hologram flickered to life. It was Ray. Ataru's eyes lit up instantly. Ray! At last! Our prayers have been answered. Without a second thought, he sprinted toward Ran with his arms spread wide. Wham! Sakura's elbow crashed straight onto the top of his head. Ataru slammed face first into the ground, buried halfway into the dirt. Stop! Sakura never took her eyes off the newcomer. That girl is not what she appears to be. I can sense an incredibly powerful dark aura. Don't let that innocent smile fool you. Cherry stepped forward, raising his staff. Tiny spiritual sparks began swirling around him and Sakura, weaving together into a faint protective barrier. Ran stood perfectly still for several seconds. Then, she let out a long, exhausted sigh. Her cheerful smile vanished completely. Her eyes turned cold. Even her voice changed, becoming deeper, calmer, and filled with quiet authority. Ah, what a relief! It's exhausting pretending to be adorable all the time. She locked eyes with Sakura. So, you're a priestess, just like me. A faint smile crossed her lips. Then I'll skip the formalities. Ray is my boyfriend. And that Oni you call Lum stole him from me. I've come to take him back. So, tell me where he is. Still half buried in the ground from Sakura's elbow, Ataru slowly lifted his head. He staggered to his feet. The moment he looked at Ran, his eyes sparkled with overwhelming excitement. Without hesitation, he dropped to his knees and wrapped both arms tightly around her legs. Thank goodness you came. You're my savior. You're an angel, a real goddess. Desperate, he began showering her legs with kisses while pleading nonstop. Please help me. You have no idea what I've been through. That horrible alien ruined my life. And now your boyfriend is living in my house. He eats all my food. And somehow I keep getting punched because of him. Let's make a deal. I'll take you straight to Ray, and you promise to take that awful alien far, far away from here. Ran slowly lowered her gaze. A sly smile crept across her face. In that instant, she realized this foolish human might prove far more useful than she'd expected. He wasn't especially bright, but he was certainly desperate enough to become the perfect pawn. Normally, I don't make bargains with insects like you. She paused. But this time, I'm willing to make an exception. Take me to Ray, and perhaps I can help you get rid of Lum. Ataru looked up with the biggest smile he'd worn in days. After so much misery, he was convinced his luck had finally begun to change. But Sakura and Cherry never relaxed for a single moment. Both of them could feel it. With Ran's arrival, an even greater danger had just set foot in Tomobiki. Scene 2. Ran walked through the halls of Tomobiki High School alongside Sakura, Cherry, and Ataru. As they made their way through the building, she glanced around with obvious curiosity, taking in every unfamiliar sight. What an interesting place. What exactly is this? Ataru puffed out his chest proudly. This is our school. It's where humans study and get an education. Ran nodded with genuine interest. I see. How fascinating. She turned back toward Ataru. So you're telling me Rai is staying at your house? That's right. He eats everything in sight, and every girl in town has fallen head over heels for him. Ran blinked in surprise. What? Seriously? A playful smile spread across her face. My, quite the ladies' man. You'll see for yourself when you meet him. She grew thoughtful for a moment. There's still something I don't understand. Why is Lum on this planet? As far as I know, she lost the contest for the conquest of Earth. Sakura answered calmly. That's correct. And this young man is the one who defeated her. Ran slowly turned back toward Ataru. He folded his arms and let out an annoyed snort. That's right. I beat her. And ever since then, she's been obsessed with getting revenge. Ran chuckled softly. She's always been a terrible loser. Sakura raised an eyebrow. Cherry's eyes widened. All three spoke at once. Since you were children? Ran nodded, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. Of course. Lum and I grew up together. She paused. Well, we used to be friends. We both fell in love with the same boy. But Lum seduced him away from me. A proud smile crossed her face, though I eventually won him back. I suppose out of spite she came to this planet to finish the job her father and his soldiers couldn't. But she's always been spoiled. She never imagined anything could ever go wrong for her. Ataru nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. She's a spoiled brat. So now she's using me as her personal punching bag to vent all her frustrations. In an instant, Ran slipped effortlessly back into her sweet, innocent persona. Her voice became soft and childlike once again. Oh, you poor thing. You must have suffered so much because of that wicked little ogress. Ataru's eyes filled with emotion. Finally! Someone who understands me. Without thinking twice, he threw himself toward Ran, wrapping his arms around her and immediately starting to grope her as shamelessly as ever. Wham! Ran's fist slammed squarely into his face. His head snapped violently to one side before he collapsed flat onto the floor. Looking down at him, she spoke again in her mature, commanding voice. Careful, boy. Don't mistake kindness for permission to put your hands on me. Ataru lay motionless on the floor, completely dazed. Cherry watched the whole scene with a mixture of surprise and admiration. Well now, no doubt about it. You certainly know how to keep this womanizer under control. Tosh Scene 3. A few minutes later, the four of them gathered inside the school's infirmary. Sakura folded her arms and looked calmly at Ran. I think the wisest course of action is to avoid an unnecessary confrontation. If you go to the Moroboshi house right now, all you'll accomplish is creating another disaster. It would be better if you waited until tomorrow morning. Come to school as a transfer student. Ray will be here as well. The two of you can meet peacefully, and then return home together. She paused for a moment before adding, and since Lum is in the same class, take the opportunity to convince her to finally give up this ridiculous obsession with getting revenge on this idiot. Ataru immediately shot his hand into the air. Hey, I didn't cause any of this. I'm the one who saved the Earth. Sakura glanced sideways at him. Whatever. The important thing is that tomorrow all of this can finally be settled. Then she turned back to Ran, looking her up and down. However, there is one small problem. You can't attend a Japanese high school dressed like that. Ran lowered her eyes toward her tight pink outfit. I understand. So, what should I wear? Sakura opened one of the infirmary cabinets. After searching for a few moments, she pulled out a neatly folded school uniform. She held it out toward Ran. Here. I think this should fit you perfectly. She then placed a pair of shoes and matching socks on the table. We always keep a spare uniform here, just in case a student has an accident or needs a change of clothes. Ran carefully took the uniform into her hands. Her eyes sparkled instantly. Oh, it's beautiful. She admired every detail with genuine excitement. And it looks like it's exactly my size. For just a moment, Ataru imagined Ran wearing the classic sailor uniform. A huge grin spread across his face. I can't wait to see you dressed as a cute schoolgirl. Thud! Sakura's elbow came crashing down onto the top of Ataru's head once again. His face slammed straight into the infirmary floor. You never learn. While Ataru groaned miserably on the ground, Ran continued smiling quietly as she looked at the uniform. Tomorrow, the next stage of her plan to win Ray back would finally begin. Scene 4. The next morning, Tomobiki High School carried on as usual, or at least as usual as anything could ever be in Tomobiki. Inside the classroom, Mr. Onsen Mark carefully watched over his students as they worked through a mathematics exam. The The only sounds were the quiet scratching of pencils across paper. Ataru cautiously raised his head. He glanced toward an empty desk. "Hey, Megain. Where's Ray?" Without even looking up from his test, Megain replied, "He was excused from the exam. He's out training with the school's rugby team. They've got a practice match against Narima High later this week." Ataru let out a long sigh of relief. "Good. That's probably for the best." Megain finally raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean by that?" Ataru quickly buried his face back in his exam. "Nothing. Forget I said anything." Just then, knock, knock, knock. Someone tapped on the classroom door. Mr. Onsen-mark opened it. Standing outside were the principal and Sakura. Every student immediately stood. "Good morning." The principal smiled warmly. "I have some wonderful news for all of you. Starting today, we have a new transfer student joining our school. Miss Sakura has personally recommended her. I hope you'll all give her a warm welcome." He gestured toward the doorway. A young woman with long pink hair stepped gracefully into the classroom, wearing a gentle smile. The classic sailor uniform suited her perfectly. Every boy froze in place. Several of them immediately began drooling. The girls watched her with curious expressions. Lum's eyes widened slightly in surprise. Ran gave the class a graceful bow. "Hello, everyone. My name is Ran. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I hope we can become good friends." Mr. Onsen-mark smiled approvingly as he searched the classroom for an empty seat. Before he could choose one, Lum raised her hand. "Professor, can she sit here beside me?" Ran walked over to the desk. Lum greeted her with a bright, sincere smile. "Ran, I'm so happy to see you. I've been worried about you." In an instant, Ran slipped back into her sweet, innocent persona. "I'm happy to see you too. I heard Ray came all the way to this planet looking for you." Lum sighed with relief. "Yes, I'm really glad you came. Now you can finally take him back. Ever since he arrived, he's done nothing but cause trouble." Mr. Onsen-mark chuckled. "Oh, so you two already know each other. Excellent. You'll have plenty of time to catch up during recess." Completely unaware that, just like Lum, Ran was also an alien, the lesson continued until the bell finally rang. The schoolyard quickly filled with students enjoying their break. Lum and Ran stood face to face. At first, both of them smiled warmly. "Do you remember how much fun we had when we were little?" Lum asked. "Of course I do. And our birthday parties? How could I ever forget? And all the games we used to play? I remember every single one. And all our friends? Every last one of them." The two girls laughed together, holding hands like lifelong friends who had never spent a day apart. Lum smiled with genuine affection. It's such a shame to lose a wonderful friendship over something so silly. The smile vanished from Ran's face. Her expression hardened instantly. Something? Silly? Her eyes turned icy cold. "Is that what you call stealing Ray from me?" Lum frowned ever so slightly. Ran clenched her fists. "Ray was my boyfriend. You took him away," Lum answered calmly. "But he came back to you." "I got him back?" Ran's voice grew sharper. "It's always been the same with you. Pretending to be sweet, pretending to be kind, but always finding another way to make me suffer. I'm sure you convinced Ray to come to this planet, just like you did back then." Lum stepped forward. "That's not true. You're lying." "No, you're the liar." Their voices rose. The surrounding conversations came to an abrupt stop. Students began gathering around them, one after another, until a huge circle formed. "Fight! Fight! The new girl's taking on Lum. This is going to be amazing." Ran took one determined step forward. "Give him back. I want Ray." Lum spread her arms in disbelief. "Keep Ray. Take him with you. All he's done is bring me nothing but trouble. The only problem here is you." Suddenly, Lum's body slowly lifted off the ground. Her long green hair began flowing through the air. Tiny bolts of electricity danced across her body. The air itself began to hum. Standing opposite her, Ran became enveloped in an overwhelming spiritual aura. Her pink hair floated upward as an invisible force surrounded her. A brilliant rose-colored light spread around her body. The atmosphere trembled. The school's windows began to shake. The ground quivered beneath the students' feet. Everyone instinctively stepped backward. No one dared to breathe. Two childhood friends, two powerful alien women, two rivals consumed by pride were only seconds away from an all-out battle. Hagar Scene 5. At that very moment, The gymnasium doors swung open. The rugby team was finishing practice. Walking among them was Ray. Ran's eyes widened. In an instant, every ounce of anger vanished from her face. Tears welled up in her eyes as she ran toward him. Ray! Ray opened his arms as well. The entire school held its breath. For one brief moment, it looked as though the two lovers were finally about to embrace. But Ray ran right past Ran. He didn't even glance in her direction. Instead, he sprinted straight toward Shinobu. She happened to be holding a small daifuku in her hands. Ray's face lit up. Food! He snatched the sweet rice cake from her hands and swallowed it whole in a single bite. Delicious! A completely bewildered Shinobu hurriedly pulled out of the daifuku she had brought for lunch. Ray devoured them one after another. More! More? Just like that, all the tension vanished. The lightning surrounding Lum faded away. Ran's glowing spiritual aura dissolved into thin air. For several long seconds, Ran stood frozen. Then, her lips began to tremble. She burst into tears. Lum slowly floated back down to the ground. She looked at Ran with a mixture of sympathy and quiet resignation. Then, she gently wrapped her arms around her. Softly stroking Ran's hair, Lum smiled with heartfelt kindness. You see? How could I possibly steal Ray from you? He doesn't even know what he's doing. Ran didn't answer. She simply continued crying, resting her head against Lum's shoulder. Only a few steps away, Ray finished the very last daifuku. Delicious! Shinobu stared at the entire scene in complete disbelief. Around them, every student in Tomobiki High remained perfectly still. No one could understand how a fight that had seemed destined to level half the school had ended with two lifelong rivals embracing each other, while the one truly responsible for all the chaos was still thinking about nothing except food. Half epilogue. School was finally over. Inside a cozy little ramen shop famous for its hearty beef stew ramen, Ataru absent-mindedly stirred the noodles in his bowl. With a distant look in his eyes, he let out a long, weary sigh. You know, there really wasn't anything I could have done. Sitting beside him, Megain kept eating without even looking up. I have to admit, you were right. That airhead Ray only cares about one thing. Food. Gorilla slowly shook his head. And somehow, the school turned him into its greatest sports star. Perm sighed in resignation. And he stole every single girl from us. Chibi set his chopsticks down across his bowl. To make matters worse, he's way more handsome than the rest of us. All five boys released one enormous collective sigh. Then, a sixth voice quietly joined the conversation. Sitting beside them was Ran. Her pink hair was completely disheveled, her school uniform was wrinkled, and her expression looked just as defeated as everyone else's. And he completely ignored me, just to run after that little goody two-shoes. Without lifting her eyes from her bowl, she quietly resumed eating her noodles. At that very moment, the owner of the ramen shop walked over to their table. Hey, so, who's paying the bill? The six of them slowly raised their heads. Then, without saying a single word, they all turned to look at Ataru. Ataru glanced around the table, meeting each pair of expectant eyes. He let out one final defeated sigh. What a day. End of episode.